Welcome back, everyone. Remember to begin at episode 1 as this series builds upon itself. In this episode, we're talking about feel to heal. Because whenever you feel that which is beneath the surface, that which is screaming to be heard, this physical dysfunction is not needed. This is about removing the fear from feeling your emotions. It can be really scary. That's why you pushed it away in the first place, because it was so painful. So, the premise of having to look at those things from the past, those difficult moments, situations, and feelings that you utterly don't want to, that's very courageous of you. And that's what's necessary in this case. It's important to remember that emotions show up in the body. It's an energy in motion. Chemistry is created. They show up and create change in the body. This is called somatization, as all emotions do have a physical component, such as when your heart is beating fast, or you have butterflies in your belly when you're nervous. With embarrassment, you have a flushing red face, or you feel your muscles get tense when you're angry, or you cry when you're sad. You breathe faster when you're afraid. You're urinating more frequently when you're stressed. You become constipated when you're not in a comfortable or a known environment. These emotions can show up in different ways. We all experience that all the time. An emotion lasts approximately 90 seconds as a chemical reaction within the body. The continuation of the experience comes from a thought reactivating the emotion. So, in the moment, the initial emotion is created. Imagine that someone dies in front of you, in front, right there. Even without thought, there's this instant reaction to what is happening. There's a shock, there could be fear, then there could be a grief, a despair. It's happening right there, it's raw. There's a chemical reaction, there's a wave that's passing through you. Now, if you're able to fully feel that and let it pass through you, there would be no repression, there would be no pattern stored. That's just the initial emotion. But also, we often do this. We create emotion by thought alone. So, what about if you think you have a thought about that person who died? So, you think about someone who died before and how you miss them and how tragic it was and how you could have done something, you should have done something. You recreate the emotion of sadness or guilt or whatever it is over and over and over again. That's the mind recreating the emotional wave. Now, in regards to traumatic experiences, such as someone passing in front of you, something really difficult, give yourself time to process and allow the energy to pass through you. It's okay if you had to push that away for a little bit, right? To push it back, because at some point it will come up and then process it, let it pass through. It can be a lot, a tremendous shock to the system to really accept and let it all come in all at once. But do know that if you get in the way of the natural course of an emotional wave from being fully felt, you're suppressing the emotion. You're not allowing it to complete. This is something that you might do all the time and you're not aware of it. So pay more attention. Whenever you start to feel that sadness or frustration or anger or jealousy, and then you're like, no, 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 I should not have those thoughts. And then you immediately like get back to work and do something else. It's not that you should keep reactivating the thoughts, but allow yourself to feel what is real. Allow yourself to feel what is real. Let it be there. And let it pass through you. Have its actual natural course of events take place. The reason why you even have repressed emotions is because your will has the ability to suppress an emotion that is too much to handle. That's pushing it away. Again, in the example of the traumatic moment, that can be useful for survival because it's too much. Push it away, and then it will come back up on its own, though. It'll come back up a few days later, a few weeks later. And when it arises, do you truly feel that emotion or do you push it away again? That's a choice. So, naturally, though, we want to get better at noticing. Are we about to push this back? Or are we letting it be? And the true feeling, I'm not talking about thinking, I'm talking about a feeling inside of you, not reactivating it with a thought. Your will also has the ability to hold on to an experience that it doesn't want to let go of, that it wants to keep. You might have had this relationship and this person broke up with you, and you're like, ah, you still want them back. You're like, why you want them back? You're holding out, you're holding on to that situation still. Your will can do that. Either pushing away something that you don't want or holding on to something that you still wish was real in this moment will create an imbalanced pattern. Either of those approaches will create a stuck energy in motion, right? Within you. Energy is always in motion. The energy is not really stuck, but it's rotating in a particular energy center or part of the body, leading to emotional and physical dis ease until it is released. Now, it will arise again for you to experience on its own. You might have pushed something down when you were a kid or last week or 5 years ago, and it will come up on its own, though. You'll notice that there's something down there because of thoughts. The thoughts that are coming up are created from this stuck energy pattern, ultimately showing you the need for it to release. These negative thoughts are connected to a negative, so to speak, repressed emotion, something that you don't really want to experience. The thoughts are the smoke from the emotion that is the fire. You could have 1,000 of these negative thoughts in a day because of this fire that hasn't fully been felt and allowed itself to burn out on its own. You keep pushing it down. You could have 1,000 thoughts related to it, a pattern that you're holding on to of desire, of craving, of hoping because of something that you're still holding on to from the past, from ultimately an emotion that hasn't been felt and seen yet. It's pretty astounding, but there was a study done by Dr. Richard Lane about how the mind body creates a bias for physical pain or symptoms over emotional pain. Literally, in this study, and you probably recognize this in your own life, there is more of a preference for the physical pain than the emotional pain. The emotional pain is sticky and it's challenging and it's hard to even do anything about. And the physical pain, it's like, oh, at least I can address that in some way. So, like, imagine that the love of your life just broke up with you. I mean, devastated, so heartbroken. You're feeling this extreme pain. You're not even sure if you want to live anymore. And I said, hey, I could punch you in the stomach so hard right now. I'll punch you really hard and you won't feel that emotion anymore. I mean, yeah, you'll feel some pain for a little bit, right? You'll feel some pain in your stomach, but you won't feel that deep, intense heartbreak. What would you choose? Most people would be like, yeah, this, I don't want to feel that way. You're just going to punch me and I'll feel better. Okay. What if your brain could create a symptom over and over and over and over again? Because it allows you to take your attention and your awareness away from something that was more painful. Would your brain be trying to protect you then? Yes. Yes, it is. So whenever we tell the brain, it's okay, I'm going to listen now. I'm going to actually feel, I'm going to actually notice. I'm not just going to think about feeling though. This is not analyzing. This does not work just by thinking or talking it out. Talk therapy at an analytical level is you talking about your emotions. No, we're talking about feeling your emotions. Only feeling. You have to feel to heal. And that is something I'll be helping you with in this episode. You might not know how to feel your emotions. Maybe you're just not that comfortable with it and you feel disconnected. So let's try it, shall we? You can keep your eyes open if you need to, or if you can close your eyes, that's great too. Just take a deep breath into your belly. Letting it go, relaxing a little bit more now. letting the mind calm down, and notice any sensations in your body. Maybe there's a sharp pain, a dullness, a discomfort, a tingling, maybe nothing. Avoid. Notice. Is there any emotion connected to this feeling? Is there an emotion? If this part of your body could say something to you, what would it say? No need to push it away or force anything. If you're not getting anything, that's okay. We'll talk about that in a moment. Just stay with it, stay present. What have you been thinking about a lot as of late outside of the physical body issues? What have you been thinking about a lot? What comes up often for you? And how do you feel when you think those thoughts? Okay, that was awesome. That was emotional awareness, just creating some space to listen beneath the surface. Anything that keeps coming up in your mind, that's smoke from the fire. Whenever you notice how you feel around those thoughts, it can reactivate that repressed emotion. If you've been having trouble accessing your emotions and you're not really sure how to do it, just know that when you open your heart to life and you pause the incessant thinking mind, any emotions beneath the surface can more easily be heard. This is why silence in space matters. Don't always distract yourself with more busyness, with more doing, with more tasks, with more activities. Actually carve out silence and space sometimes in your life where you have nothing to do. You're just being. The beingness allows you to hear. You're turning down the noise. Practices like meditation or breathing can help. Dancing and being free in your body, listening to music. You can also journal. Just start writing whatever's inside. You can use prompts as well, but you're really letting yourself speak in a way that's non structured and talking it out. It could be with a therapist, it could be with a family member, a friend. You're allowing yourself to actually notice and care about the feelings versus always being in your head, always analyzing and figuring out, allowing yourself to feel, to cry if it comes out, to experience the past again, because there's something there for you to release, not because you need to stay stuck there. You stay stuck there when you push it away. This is an opportunity for you. Also, notice that you may be suppressing and pushing away positive emotions. You might have trouble with love, with compassion, with generosity, with giving, with sharing. It's given to you sometimes, but maybe you don't receive it. This can come from a statement or a foundation of unworthiness, which can come from programming, from your upbringing. You're not unworthy. You're as worthy as I am, as anyone. We're all the same level of worthiness. We're all the same. We're all one. No one's better than another person. You might have received conditioning from a family member or from an aspect of your society in some way, but you are worthy of love and receiving any and all joy in life. You might also have fear that it won't last. I shouldn't get my hopes up. No reason to be overjoyed because it's just going to go away again. Why even try to experience the happiness if it's just going to be taken away from me? There might be something down there as well. Let's go over some of the more common negative emotions and what they mean. So, looking inside of yourself, what hurts are inside of you? Did something happen in the recent past, earlier in your life, where you felt as if someone did something to you or it was unjust? Do you feel anger? Anger is when one or more of your boundaries have been crossed. And it can also protect you, though, from vulnerable emotions like fear and sadness and disappointment. It can show the face of anger, but actually, that's protecting you from this softer, deeper truth, right? That you're feeling something. Anger is the energy of action, it leads to movement, to expressing. And ultimately, it's beneficial in that way as long as you're not throwing it on others, using it for violence, for harming others. So you do want to express anger, but in a healthy way. It's interesting because depression can turn into sadness, which can turn into anger, meaning that it's ready now to be expressed and you're ready to get back to life and living. So it's a good sign in that way. You might have trouble expressing your anger. You might say, I'm not someone who's ever angry. That could be because you haven't allowed yourself to feel okay about it because there might be guilt about anger. Like, why would I be angry that I shouldn't be angry? Like, they're doing the best they can. Guilt arises when you have traveled outside the bounds of your values. Also, know that it can be borrowed guilt, meaning that you think you should feel guilty because of the way someone else perceives life. Guilt is helpful when we have made a poor choice as a redirecting force. If you truly harmed someone and did something and you feel guilt, it helps. Okay, I need to reconsider my actions as I move forward in my life. But sometimes we feel guilty about our emotions. We might feel guilty about being angry with our mother. But is your anger justified? Are you justified in that which you're experiencing? So let go then of feeling guilty. Shame is an internal state of inadequacy, unworthiness, dishonor, or regret. Sadness, something needs to be released, needs to be felt. Regret, upset about a choice that you made. This is ultimately about self forgiveness and self love and letting go of you, absolving yourself of the past. Now that you're beginning to feel your emotions and you're creating awareness around them, what about healthy emotional expression? Expressing is when you let it come through you and you bring it out to the world in some way. This can be very useful. Now, it's not about throwing it on others and hurting others with it and making them feel a certain way. It's letting you just feel and express that which is inside of you. One way to do this is through journaling, writing, writing, just writing it out, writing about how you feel. Doesn't have to be perfect, no censorship, just say it. Also, voice journaling. Some of you might be like, I don't really like writing, but talking, I like talking. So press record on your phone and just say what you need to say. Get it all out. Are you angry at something that happened in the past? Are you feeling regretful? Is there a sadness? Like what? You can say it. voice journaling, just get real with yourself. You don't have to share these with anyone. You don't even have to read the journal entries ever again. It's more about expressing it than ruminating on it anyway. You can talk with someone, just get it out in the open and have an ear to chat with. It could be a family member, a friend, someone. Also, handling it in real life. This is where you actually take that which is inside of you. You might be angry about something from the past. You might feel hurt. Have a conversation with that person. Actually bring it to the table. For them, they might not care at all. They don't even know that you're dealing with this. But for you, it matters. And just bring it up if you need to do that. You'll know if that's right for you. But also know if you're afraid of it. Like, I don't want to have that conversation with my daughter. Yeah, I don't really want to do that. What's holding you back? So when you express it, express with a basis of love. It's not that you're blaming another, you're just telling them how you feel. It's ultimately based in love. But for you to share that which is real for you right now, maybe you can't speak to the person. Maybe they've passed away or they're inaccessible. You could write a letter and not send it. Just write a letter as if you're actually talking to them right now, all the way. And they don't have to actually receive it in person and open it up and read it, but it's felt. The energy there is dissipated, it's released in some way. And that's what I wanted to mention next, though, because after expression, you can choose to release and let go. The letting go is the transmutation. The letting go is the end of the pattern. You could express, but recreate it and keep it inside of yourself because that anger, you still want to latch onto it. It's become a part of you. You haven't fully, you're not ready to let go of that yet. And that will keep you in the cycle, though. It's okay. It's okay if that's where you're at about something right now. Awareness and expression is already further along than ignorance, right? And not even knowing that this is at play. And then, right, but we move to release. Release is now, okay, I can let this go. I don't need this anymore. Is this loving to me to keep thinking about and activating? This energy has now passed. There are three paths that your emotions can take. One is suppression. That's you pushing it down because it's too hard to handle. Another is expression. It's so much for you right now that you need to throw it out there in some way. Get some of this out of you. But the final path is transmutation. It actually changes form. The energy changes form because you don't try to push it away or hold on to it or throw it out there. You simply let it be, in which it can be let go. So, is it wrong to suppress? Ultimately, we just want to notice it, that we're going to have to deal with it later. Is it bad to express? Expression can help us work through something, but then there's still the transmutation of letting it go. Can you go straight to transmutation? Yes, that's also possible. But how do you let go of these repressed emotions? Life will come at you. You will get triggered at some point. That stuff that's inside of you, your soft spot, it's going to happen at some point because that conditioned pattern will meet that force. And when you get triggered next time, relax and release. There'll be a part of you that doesn't like it, that wants to push it away again. There'll be a part of you that wants to throw it out there or react. But if you do something different, if you relax, literally, you can relax your body, relax your muscles, and you release and you surrender without any reactivity, without any resistance. The emotional wave will run its natural course in the way that it attempted to do the first time that it was created. This time you won't push it away. This time you won't distract yourself. This time you'll actually feel it. You are there with it. You feel that. And it might not be easy in the moment, but it is temporary. It will pass. Be equanimous, not judging, not labeling. To let it go, you have to let it be. And then it will naturally go on its own. And what happens is that you will feel like a weight has been lifted. You will feel lighter, like there has been an opening. Now, do you have to wait for that trigger to come? You might be thinking, I want to let it go now. I don't. These emotions seem to be related to my physical body issues. So when's that going to happen? Look, you can put yourself in an environment for which awareness and release can take place. So you can carve out time in your life for space and silence. If you go out into the woods for a few days alone and you have nothing you have to do, or if you go camping, or if you take a whole day off and you have no responsibilities at home and you actually sit in silence for some of the day, or you're just sitting outside staring at the trees and I mean, this is space. This is silence. That's an environment for you to notice what's beneath the surface. But you're not doing it to force it. You're not like Friday from 10 to 11, I'm going to, do an emotional release. You can do practices that guide you, but you can't necessarily consciously force that to take place. But we can create environments in which they're more likely to happen. Other things that help, breath work, doing a more extensive breath work journey. I'm a big fan of those. I use them in my retreats. We have some in the program as well. They really take you to a place where you're no longer thinking and you're able to access the subconscious and the feelings. Meditations are really, really great as well. Being out in nature, there's a healing frequency of nature. Being outside is such a great idea without constantly staying busy and just having large gaps of no distraction, of no doing, of no busyness helps. Because if you're always going, they're hard to access. They're hard to fill because you're prioritizing something else. You're like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. I need to get to work. I need to do the next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing, next thing. Chronic pain and issues. Oh, I need to pay attention now, right? So now you're listening more, you're noticing the patterns that are coming up for purification because it's like this geyser shooting up from within. Your natural state is love and joy and creation. Your natural state wants to be experienced, but these patterns that were pushed down need to be let go of. And there, you can do that. You can do it next time, right? Next time it arises, relax and release a little bit more next time. You can be aware of that which is being felt. The question is always, what do I need to let go of? Of course, working with a therapist who is trained in emotional awareness and release, a coach of some sort, someone who can help you feel and access, bring awareness and release is awesome. In the Overcome program, we have tools in there. We have coaching support. We have emotional awareness and release journeys and experiences because it's a really big aspect of re- it's a really important aspect of letting go of the root cause, which is creating mind body syndrome symptoms. In the next episode, you'll get to create the new you. Who is the next greatest version of yourself? Who is the true you? Who is that? How are you living your life? Who are you being now? Letting go of the pain and the dysfunction and the imbalances and the past mental patterns and the habits and the addictions and the belief systems. Letting go of the repressed emotions. What's left? Who do you choose to be? And I will also be helping you go from there. What's next? What are the next steps? How do you continue on this journey?